Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. I'm going to tell you something right here at the start of the video that to some of you is going to sound like blasphemy, like jibber jabber, hoo-ha, horsepucky, and malarkey, all tied up into one little ball. But I promise you that what I'm saying is true, but you need to stick with me, and because there's nuance to this, and I'll explain why it's true. But it is possible that new XRP could exist in the future. I know, max supply is 100 billion. It's coded into the XRP ledger. It is. But it's still possible that brand new XRP that does not exist today could exist in the future. But since it's a nuanced approach, I need you to hang with me so that I can explain why. And no, this isn't a bad thing. And yes, Bitcoin maxis could try and take that out of context in a sentence, but this is a more complex idea than can be understood in a mere sentence. So if troll's gonna troll, so be it. But frankly, the same thing, you'll see why I say this, the same thing could be said of Bitcoin and the max supply of 21 million Bitcoin. But how could this be true? How could this possibly be true? Especially with the likes of David Schwartz, who is a co-creator of XRP and the XRP ledger, stating that, no, new XRP can't be created. That's widely understood by the community, is it not? So what the heck is this idiot Moon Lambo guy talking about, who may or may not currently be wearing pants? You do not know my current pants situation. Well, I'm going to explain it. But before going further, I do want to be clear, I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. All right, so hanging out on X, formerly known as Twitter, I noticed that our community, in all sorts of different threads, is debating, can there be more XRP printed? I mean, this is a concept that was being widely debated back in 2017 when I jumped into crypto, but there's always new people jumping in, and there's always misunderstandings and opportunities to clear things up, so that's what I'm going to do in this latest Moon Lambo hot jam. And here's one such example of people discussing this. There's somebody named Joe in our community, and he shared a screen grab of a thread, and there's somebody named Junior in that thread who wrote, if all validators agree XRP Ledger can create more XRP as I understood it. But there's also all sorts of people disagreeing or saying that's not my understanding. Here's one example from XRP community member JV, who responded to that and wrote, hasn't Schwartz touted consistently how there could be no more XRP created ever? Fair point. Let's talk about this. And there's this screen grab of David Schwartz speaking along those lines, and this happens to have been shared by XRP community member and attorney Bill Morgan. He retweeted that thread from Joe and shared this screen grab. David Schwartz wrote this, I think back in 2018. It's on Quora. And here's what David Schwartz wrote, and I have seen this before. There's actually a chance that I highlighted this on the channel at some point in the past, but I haven't had quite this conversation on my channel ever, not with this level of nuance and explanation. But here's what David Schwartz said back then, because the question was, okay, can new XRP ever be created? And he simply wrote the following: no, there is no code in the XRP ledger software that was intended to permit anyone to ever create XRP. In addition, there is specific code to check if any operation somehow manages to create XRP, presumably due to some kind of software bug. That will prevent that transaction from executing. Every major participant in the XRP ecosystem, such as exchanges, Ripple, wallet operators, power users, and so on, can run their own server on the network. This server independently checks the validity of every transaction and also runs the transaction's results through the extra check to ensure that a bug didn't cause the transaction to violate system rules, right? And so I'll just pause and note, that's the invariant check. That's what he's talking about right there. And then he wraps this up by stating the following, and listen closely because a lot of people kind of gloss over this part, but and so again, he already said, no, XRP can't be created, and then I just read his explanation as to why. It's on your screen, but then he added the following. To create more XRP, Ripple or anyone else would need to modify the software run by each of these individual participants in the ecosystem. For anyone who didn't modify their software to permit more XRP to be created, they would never see the new XRP. So wait a minute, he said, no, there can't be new XRP, but then later he said to create XRP, and then he explained how to do it. But see, this is why, but that's not quite what he did. Because I want to be fair. I'm just saying, like, I could see how somebody could take it that way. But here's the deal: when you're talking about the max quantity of Bitcoin or the max supply of XRP, or pick your cryptocurrency, you're talking about what is currently coded into that blockchain. That is what you're talking about. And this is just, people need to be able to say that without having to say asterisks if so and so happens, or the code is changed, or this or that. And so that's why David says, and I say very fairly, this is how people speak in the world of crypto, and I say very fairly, and this is how we should do it based on existing code. The answer to that is no. But while that is true, and I stand firm on that, that doesn't mean that what I said at the outset of the video isn't simultaneously true, because it is true. And what did I say? I said, it's possible new XRP could exist in the future. And it is simultaneously true. But do you see why I'm talking about the need for nuance? And so let me explain why just a little bit further. And actually, I think this will be a great example. I was searching for a website that had a pretty good example of what happened with Ethereum. I'm sure many of you know this, but not everybody is aware of this. The Ethereum that everybody knows and loves or hates, whatever your opinion is about it, the Ethereum that's number 2 in market cap today is not the original Ethereum. And I'm not sure that everybody knows this. The original Ethereum has now been renamed as Ethereum Classic. It's not known as Ethereum anymore. It's now known as Ethereum Classic. And so what happened with that? And this is absolutely on point here with what I'm going to explain with XRP. It's the same type of thing that can happen with XRP and the XRP ledger. And so in searching for a website that had a great explanation, I actually just came across Gemini's website. And they had this little article from almost 2 years ago titled Ethereum Classic, ETC, a rift in the blockchain community. And check this out. Ethereum Classic grew out of an ideological and ethical rift in the Ethereum community that provokes controversy to this day. In 2016, a significant hack was carried out on a third-party application running on the Ethereum blockchain, which resulted in the theft of millions of dollars worth of Ether, or ETH. In response, the Ethereum blockchain underwent a hard fork to essentially reverse the hack from the official ledger and return the stolen ETH to its original owners. In contrast, the other branch of this fork kept the official ledger that included the hack unchanged, aiming to preserve a 100% immutable ledger. In other words, the two resulting blockchains differed in only one way. One still contained the record of the hack and the stolen ETH, while the other essentially wound back the clock as if the hack had never happened. The edited blockchain preserved the Ethereum moniker, while the original / unchanged blockchain became known as Ethereum Classic. Now, isn't that something? So what it comes down to is Ethereum, as it's known today, is not the original Ethereum. It absolutely is not. And so what does this tell us? What does this teach us? Something is whatever the hell the majority says it is. That's pretty much it, to be honest with you. Because if it had been the case that major players in the world of crypto didn't agree with this decision, then there still would have been a fork. There would have been another fork. And then so what we know as Ethereum today would have been, I don't know, Ethereum Part 2, the amazing sequel. I don't know, give it a stupid name. Give it a stupid-ass name. I don't care. But had the major players in the space, you're talking exchanges and, maybe the Joe Lubins and Consensuses of the world, all those types of organizations, they were all pushing for a particular thing, then maybe Ethereum Classic would still be known as Ethereum today, and that's what everybody would have continued to develop on in a major way. And so, since that's not what the world did, it still is fair to call this fork, this hard fork, it is fair to call that ETH, because we have to agree on what words and names mean as a society. And that's just what we decided it's now called. It doesn't change a matter-of-fact statement about what it is. I just described to you what it is. Nobody disputes the material facts. Some people will like that the Ethereum name went with the new one, and some people don't. But as a society, we have to function, right? And so this is what happened. The Ethereum name went with the new one, and the original hacked blockchain became Ethereum Classic. Banished into the shadows, right? It's pretty much what happened, right? And that's why I joke, and I'm not completely serious, but I'm like, Ethereum Classic, because I own it, I'm like, the worst blockchain in the history of crypto. But I'm in part kidding here. But my point is, this could happen with anything. It could happen with Bitcoin. It can happen with XRP. In fact, imagine you could code into, you could run a node and you could code into the Bitcoin blockchain that you own 1 trillion Bitcoin. Wait a minute, there's a max supply 21 million with an M. But you could code that in into the code and say, hey, I created this. This is you could acknowledge, I made this change. It says I have 1 trillion Bitcoin. And if everybody else on the planet agrees with you, and exchange is like, yeah, that's Bitcoin, we're just going to rename it, then I guess what would happen is you would, now this is not how humans would behave, but the point is, if they did that, this ridiculous thing, then yes, you would actually have 1 trillion Bitcoin. And there would be all sorts of consequences from that, but I'm just trying to get a concept across. You understand the cut of my jib here, right? The point is, things are whatever society says they are, whatever the masses say is true. So what could happen is, if you get 80%, well, it has to technically be over 80% of validator approval on the XRP ledger, saying, hey, we want to create, just print into, from thin air, we want to print X amount more XRP. It could be another 100 billion. Well, if that's voted into existence, well, then it will be into existence. Now, here's what happens, though. If you don't like what's happening, you don't have to upload the new code even if it's approved. So you'll be in the situation where there's a fork at that point on the XRP ledger. So you'd simultaneously have 2 different blockchains running at that point. And there have been forks of the XRP ledger. Now, not that many. There haven't been many forks of the XRP ledger for a couple of reasons. Well, first of all, the technology just freaking works. So we don't have to argue about block size or anything like that like you do with Bitcoin. So those arguments are gone. It just works. So that's a big reason. Another reason is that there's a built-in amendment process that is absolutely fantastic. So people can still agree with certain things and you can have forks. And there have been a few. I'm aware of 3. I can't remember the names of them all off the top of my head. I have talked about them on my channel before. So if this ever happened and new XRP were created, and it resulted in a fork, then the question is, what is XRP? Is it the one where the original XRP ledger, where no new XRP was created, or is it the new XRP ledger where there is new XRP created? Well, see, this is where it gets into the nuance of it. The truth is, it will be whatever the masses decide XRP actually is. Because again, as I'm showing you right here, in the case of Ethereum, Ethereum became Ethereum Classic. And the new hard fork just took the name of the original. So that could happen in theory. I'm not saying it will. I'm just talking in concepts and hypotheticals here. I'm just telling you it could happen with the XRP ledger for any number of reasons in the future. You could have a brand new blockchain. It's just a fork of the original XRP ledger. And then if the masses decide this is XRP, then it just will be. And so if that's what it is, as happened with Ethereum, the second largest crypto by market cap on the entire planet, yes, it could happen to XRP. I'm not saying that it will. That's not the point. We're talking in concepts here. So is it possible that new XRP could exist in the future? Yes, but the reason when I'm asked that I don't tend to speak in such terms is because the way that people speak, and we need to have a society where we understand one another. The reason is that when you're going to answer that question, can new Bitcoin be created? Can new XRP be created? Can new ETH be created? It's based on the existing code for that blockchain. That's how you answer the question. But that doesn't mean, I have to be able to say this also, that doesn't mean it's not possible that XRP, for XRP to not be created in the future, new XRP, it could be. But it depends on a number of things as I just outlined here. You see the nuance? That's why I needed to take some time to actually break this down. And I think that what's very clear to me after reading a bunch of comments, there's a lot of misunderstanding about this. But it absolutely could happen. And you know what? There's another possibility. There could be a proposed amendment and it just changes and all validators agree. I'm not saying this is probable. And then there is no fork. And then there's just new XRP because the code changed. You don't have to have a fork for this to happen. That's another option. And then it's still the original XRP ledger with new XRP. But you're talking about changing the code. Again, you can do this with Bitcoin. You could do this with ETH. But everybody would have to agree. That's why, if Bitcoin Maxi wants to take the statement, Moon Lambo just said that it is possible to create new XRP in the future, could exist. Well, then I'd be like, okay, yeah, but you could also have new Bitcoin in the future then by the same standard. It's the same thing. Who the hell cares? Right? And see, that's the nature of decentralized systems. That should be allowed to happen because Whatever the majority of the participants want in that ecosystem, they should be able to vote and get it. Or if there's not a voting process in place based on that blockchain, then there should be an opportunity for a hard fork. And for the case of Bitcoin, that's happened. In the case of ETH, that has happened. That's good. I say, the fact that there's been so many Bitcoin hard forks, some people like to make fun of Bitcoin for that. I'm like, no, that's the ecosystem working. Let people fight over what they want to have. I'm like, that's the ecosystem working. As much as I tease Bitcoin for being the most technologically insufficient crypto that exists, and I do mean that, as much as I firmly believe that, I'm not going to make fun of the hard fork process. I think that's useful. Now, there's cleaner ways to do it with, having a built-in amendment process like the XRP ledger has. But I don't care. Do it either way. I don't care. Whatever. So there's that. And just to bring the point home a little bit further here, I had this, and this is from VET. This is an actual XRP ledger validator, one of the actual validators. And this account on X, formerly known as Twitter, wrote, "That's called decentralized system. So what? Spin the thought further. The result would be a fork, in my opinion, because the community is actually interested in the longevity of the ledger, not to exploit it to the last dime by double and tripling it like with other coins, winky face." Yeah. And so even if this ever happened, I find it infinitely unlikely. I mean, if you're talking thousands of years in the future, if the XRP ledger survives to that point, and because of the deflationary nature of the XRP ledger, we're running out. Well, okay. Well, then maybe at that point, people will be like, yeah, I guess we need to do something. Okay, fine. Maybe they figure out a way. That's not... that would literally be thousands of years in the future. It's not on my radar. You know what I'm saying? I'm not exactly concerned about that. So it's nothing. Again, it's not a bad thing. So if you ask me, can new XRP be created? And then the way I'm going to take that is, okay, can new XRP be created on the XRP ledger today? Because that's what people mean when they ask that question, unless you're trying to intentionally just, cause a kerfuffle. So if somebody asks me that, I'm just going to say no. Just like if somebody asks me, can there ever be more than 21 million Bitcoin? I'm going to say no. Because the only way it would be possible, especially with the case of Bitcoin, is if there's a fork. In the case of Bitcoin specifically, there would need to be a fork, or the code would... I mean, you're talking about running a different blockchain at the point, and everybody would have to agree. Everybody would have to agree on that. Or actually, not technically everybody, just enough that it's kind of like you have with ETH. You have some people that still... you could probably find a handful of people. I never see them. If they exist somewhere, I don't know. You guys point them out to me. There's probably at least one human on the planet, or a handful of them, that are like, no, ETH Classic, I'm not even going to call it ETH Classic. That's ETH. Okay, well, the rest of the world disagrees with you, so it doesn't matter. You're just wrong. So, all right. I'm going to stop beating that horse. Hopefully that made it clear enough. Those are my general thoughts on this, but let me know what you think. I'll wrap up here, and hopefully this isn't cause for alarm, just because it is possible that new XRP could exist in the future, because the only way that would happen is if all validator, or more than 80% of validators agree, and if there's... or you could say all validators agree, then there's, again, no fork, and then it just is the case because that's the only code that there is to run, in which case that is XRP, but then you're talking about a change state, but okay. Or if there is a fork, and then whatever this new fork is of the XRP ledger, if you rename it XRP, because, look, when it comes to, the continuancy of the name, it just is whatever society decides. I know that bothers some people, but it just is true, as evidenced by what happened with ETH. So, I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.